Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? All quiet, please. Thank you. It's just after lunch. This should not be a threatening thing to you. I have to take your temperature. I know it's like, oh, no. Let me see. Okay, you're fine. Yep, you're good. Beep. Yep, I think you're good. Nobody's hitting 100. Have you guys run around or much? Or did you just try and stay fairly cool? Yep. I don't know. Sometimes it's like, I think this register's a little bit low. Do-do-do-do. That looks good. And of course, are you a reptile? 91, that can't be right. 95, that's more like it. Do-do-do-do-do. Okay. You're like, really? I must be perfectly fine because Mr. Hansen held a thermometer thing next to my head. Therefore, I am disease-free, correct? What does asymptomatic mean? Have you heard that word? Did you add that to your vocabulary over the last year? What does asymptomatic mean? Exactly, yeah. Or the signs might be pretty subtle, like, I can't taste nothing. I don't have a fever, but I can't taste nothing. Because, like, that's one of the signs that comes up. Maybe, for some people I've heard, is not being able to taste stuff. So, anyway, I'm Mr. Hansen, and welcome. I'm very glad to be your 9th grade world history teacher this year. So, yeah, is it going okay so far? You've had 5 periods? This is 6th period. 6th period is ending at 1:05, I've got up there. And at 1:05, let me double check and see the instructions. Oh yeah, you guys have it a little bit different. Usually you have to turn to the right, turn to the right. But I know what you're having in 7th period. I think you got English, don't you? Which is down the hall on the left. So you're actually going to have to be like fish swimming against the tide. Mrs. Anderson gave me the instructions to have you leave here at 1:08, right? So that's not right away. We've got to get the middle school kiddos through the hallways first. But to be careful, right? So I don't know, maybe exit left, keep to the right, end up in Mr. Blevins for English, is that right? Okay. Because he's going to be set up in that classroom down there, okay? In here, we'll finish up at 1:05, and we'll have, like, you guys go grab a wipe first. Wipe your desks down. You've got room if you want, definitely the one there. You're welcome to spread out. I noticed some of you guys are already the spreader outer kind of people. That's why I left lots of desks in here, because it's just a little bit more comfortable having that. And then we'll have you guys take care of that part. Okay? Does that make sense? That's pretty straightforward. What you're going to need in here on a regular basis is paper, which you could have in, I don't know, let me see what, yeah, this works. You could have it in a bound thing. You could have a composition notebook. You could have loose leaf paper, although that is a little bit harder to keep track of. Some of you guys, if you are trustworthy and you can be trusted to use an electronic device to take notes. Have you heard you take a lot of notes in my classes? It's true, you take a lot of notes in my classes, okay? So you could use an electronic device to do that, so long as that electronic device is used only for that purpose, right? What about all those cool games and other kinds of like things that you can do on electronic devices? Is that okay for other times? Yeah, it's okay for other times, but not in here, okay? So I'm very much like, we'll be focused on what we're doing in here. So you'll want to have a composition notebook there, loose leaf paper. You definitely want to have something out. I don't think today we're going to be doing so much in the way of notes. Today is going to be a little bit more of like introduction, getting a kind of an expectation of what the heck is going on here. What is this course about? What is Mr. Hansen about? Okay? And then the next time, and most of the other times that we come in here, it'll be like, take your notes out, we're going to be going. Okay? Because we got a lot of interesting things to cover. Okay? One thing I will point out, the handout that I gave you there it's incomplete information. It says that there is a Google Classroom. Did you find that on there? It's about a third of the way, or actually it's right in that introductory section. There's the course, my name, the email address, the address of the school, Google Classroom code, to be provided. You ready? I'm going to provide it for you. You can either hear me or you can see this. I wrote it pretty small, sorry. All lowercase except for the numbers. P 4 KKS 3N. And I've set up the Google Classroom already for 9th grade for this year. What's in there so far is not much. What's in there so far is an attachment, which you have in front of you, another attachment, which I'll give to you later. And then today, at the end of the day, I'll go home and upload actually this class. I'll either make a video recording of this class or the Blue Day group, and that'll be for the at-home folks, which I believe I've got 3 in my rosters. Okay? Does that make sense so far? All right. Let's go through some things just real quick before I do even a roster check, because I know these questions come up all the time with students. If this was a normal year, people will go, can I have something to drink in here? I'm like, yeah. You get thirsty. Hello. Yeah, I mean, have something to drink. Can I have something to eat in here? Because sometimes I get hungry too. How many of you guys are like, oh, I really love the fact that we have lunch at 11:50 when the school day starts at 11 or whatever, 7:45. How many of you guys lunch is like perfectly timed? How many of you guys would like lunch a little earlier? Well, some of you guys are in here for Mr. Blevins' class in 5th period, and I'm over there chowing down because I get hungry. If you get hungry at different times, I have an answer for you, okay, as to whether or not you can eat. Have little, like that, yeah, maybe. Little sort of food thingies at the side and so forth. And so I checked this out with Mrs. Anderson. And so just as you quickly remove, not take off, but open up a space for you to take a drink if you need to, you can pop something in if you're hungry. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Other than that, we're trying to do the best we can with the school, keeping everyone separated, keeping everyone safe, so that we can keep doing this. Because I don't know how many of you guys are like, no, really, I prefer doing at-home online total instruction as opposed to being in a classroom where I am now. Didn't think so. Okay, it was a little bit harder. Was it tricky for you last quarter? I know it was tricky for me. I had students that were they were just organized, and so it was fine. I uploaded my instruction to YouTube. I had a channel, and those students tuned in. But others, it was a little harder. And I know, because it's just hard. How many of you guys, if you could, you'd never have another Zoom meeting ever again in your life? There you go. It's new and different at first, and then it's oh my God, I'm chained to my computer or phone or whatever. And it's I just come back to normal. And I want it to be normal as possible. So don't go hungry, don't go thirsty in here. I did actually check with Mrs. Anderson because I was wondering about this, because your passing periods, I'm like, that's kind of quick, because you really only have 2, maybe 3 minutes passing, and sometimes you need that time to take care of business or something like that. So, so I would always use bathroom passes and so forth. And Mrs. Anderson she already talked to you guys earlier about well, I'm sure she did before lunch, what to do and so forth. And I'm like, well, I think I'll still use the bathroom passes, because if something goes amiss while that student is out of my classroom and out of my supervision, then I will have a record of what students were where, when. And she said, well, that's not actually necessary. Really? No, because we got cameras in the hallways now. So if you think you wants to do something that doesn't necessarily fits with the whatevers, yeah, they don't have them in the bathrooms, thank goodness, but in the hallways. So if somebody did something in the bathroom and vandalized it or something, and they could figure out what time, they'll look and see who was moving when, where, and so forth. So if you need to, if you're absolutely desperate and so forth, give me a signal and we'll take care of that. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Where did my pencil go? Oh, there it is. Let me go through this part, which is, who are you? I think, actually, I'm guessing that everyone who I have on my list is here or is accounted for, because I know Maya is not here, but she will be here later. But I'm going to call out your name. You can indicate who you are, where you are. Tell me if that's the name you like to go by. And yeah, and we'll start to get to know you, and then you get to know me a little bit too. All right, Hannah. Okay, Hannah, okay. I have a niece named Hannah. She also has an H at the beginning of her name and an H at the end of her name. Do you know what that's called? Where your name is spelt the same back and forth? A palindrome. How many of you guys knew that a palindrome? Yes. Dad is a palindrome. Mom is a palindrome. Hannah is a palindrome. What's the longest palindrome you can come up with? Here's one. Take a look. On my board right over here, sometimes we'll be referring to this in the classroom. Those are actually 44 men who were President of the United States of America. And some of you are like, Mr. Hanson, you can't count because Donald Trump is the 45th President of the United States of America. How can you say that there were 44 men when President Trump is the 45th? All right? Raise your hand. Solve it. Quick. I'll give you a clue. Look in the middle. How can we have had 44 presidents of the United States and yet Donald Trump is the 45th? Yes, sir. Yes, he was president twice. He was the 22nd president. He was defeated for re-election by Benjamin Harrison, and then he defeated Benjamin Harrison for election, and that's why he elected twice there. Teddy Roosevelt, number 26, Theodore Roosevelt, very interesting guy. I guess he was a big deal. They stuck his face on Mount Rushmore, along with, anybody know the answer to that question? Raise your hand if you can. Oh, he's got Abraham Lincoln. Who else? We got ding, 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 two. Yes, Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln. Who else? George Washington, ding, 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 ding. What's the other one? Oh, come on. You can do it. Yes. Nope, not Andrew Jackson. He's on the $20 bill, though, for now. You'll see why he might be taken off later on. Yes? Never mind? I mean, all you can do is just guess and be wrong. I'll give you a clue. You ready? He wrote the Declaration of the Independence. Yes? Thomas Jefferson. Yep, so those are on the Mount Rushmore. So apparently they must have done something at least notable. I don't know, maybe we'll go, no, he was bad. And we'll go up there and we'll all chisel his face away, because that's what people do in history. We look at history and go, I don't know, he wasn't such a great guy. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. You know, you're in high school now. You're going to be learning about something about Thomas Jefferson that some people are like, no, he really wasn't that great of a guy. Raise your hand if you know. Why was Thomas Jefferson arguably, in the scheme of things, possibly not such a great guy? What? His wife was dead. He did have children with another woman who he was not married to. He did not cheat on his wife, at least as far as I'm aware of, as far as historical stuff. But that would be interesting. I mean, as far as like, whoa, that's very adult. We didn't talk anything about like that in lower grade school social studies. I mean, you're going to be learning about people this year that you're like, oh, I know about that, but when you learn about them maybe in the 4th or 5th grade, you're like, you didn't learn the whole scoop. Nobody knows? I'll give you a clue. He lived in Virginia. He not only, well, he didn't, it was weird, because in his draft of the Declaration of Independence, he wanted to like talk about slavery is bad, and then somebody said, really? You're from Virginia, and Virginia has slaves, and you, sir, own slaves. He was a slave owner. So some people are like, you were a slave owner, so therefore you're not such a good guy. You're like, oh, this is starting to get serious. Yeah, we're like, really? We're in high school now, we're in social studies, and Thomas Jefferson not only owned slaves, but remember that first point you made up? He had several children, the genetic evidence seems to support, with one of his slaves. When you're a slave, it's not like you can go, I'm not really consenting to this particular relationship. Because when you're a slave, you're owned, body and soul, maybe not soul, but body, by the master. okay? You're in high school. We'll be dealing with some serious things and so forth. Teddy Roosevelt, back to you, Hannah. Teddy Roosevelt, there's a palindrome about Teddy Roosevelt. It's called this. A man, a plan, you can write it out if you want. A man, a plan, a canal. Panama. A man, a plan, a canal. Panama. If you do it the other way, it's the same thing. So, there you go. Hannah, thank you for that opportunity to share a story about Teddy Roosevelt. Was it all right? Did I get it right? Yeah, he was the guy who was helped to make sure that the Panama Canal was built while he was president of the United States. Okay, so Hannah, you go. Yeah, did I get it? Yeah, all right, cool. There you go. Uh-huh. All right, next. And not everyone's got a really cool story to go along with that and so forth, but Robert. And you go by? What does he go by? Bobby? You guys call him Bobby? So if you were to call him Bobby, I would know like who you're talking about. Bobby's a cool name. I mean, both of them are cool names. Robert F. Kennedy was John F. Kennedy's brother, younger brother, served as Attorney General. They named a stadium after him. He also ran for President of the United States. He was also potentially going to be elected as President of the United States. You know what happened to Robert, also known as Bobby? People called him Bobby Kennedy. Yeah, he was. He was assassinated in 1968. Yeah, he'd won like the California primary, and some guy came in and shot him dead. And then Martin Luther King was assassinated later that same year. That was a messed up year. Kind of like 2020. It's like, yeah. You're like, really, Mr. Hanson, you talk about history? History's happening now. I mean, yeah. You guys are going through history. When you're old and gray and whatever, I don't know, your hair color, you can tell grandkids and so forth. Let me tell you about year 2020. I wore a mask to school. What, were you like a robber or something? So, yeah, Bobby. Yes? Really? That must be true. If it is a conspiracy that offers an alternate explanation as to what happened in history, it is a conspiracy. Sometimes conspiracy theories actually have some evidence supporting it. Sometimes they don't. Interesting. Very interesting. His brother died, and is there any conspiracy theories as to how John F. Kennedy was shot and killed in Dallas, Texas in 1963? Heck yeah. I mean, there's all kinds. And some of it kind of goes along the same line as in it was an inside job. There was somebody in the government that was trying to, like, off him. So, Chloe. There's Chloe. All right, you go by Chloe. I shall call you Chloe. All right, very good. Carson. All right, you go by Carson. All right, excellent. Don't have Maya. Madeline. You go by, I'm going to call you Maddie, maybe. You guys call her Maddie? Sure, we're going to call you Maddie. M-A-D-D-I-E? Okay, all right. Yeah, this is cool because I go through the list and I'm like, you're related to so-and-so, you know? Yeah, no, that's cool. No, I like that. I'm a teacher around. Sometimes I'm like, I actually had, I remember that it happened several years ago at North Star. Two of my students were related to one of my former students who I taught, and she was their parent. If you're around long enough, that happens, right? So I don't know. Did any of you guys have a parent that was a student in my class? No? Okay. All right. Fair enough. I've got some of you guys as older sibs, though. That's cool. They were in the past. Garrett. All right. You go by Garrett. All right. Excellent. And hopefully I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Simone. She's online. All right. So we think that she's online. And I did remember seeing some stuff. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. All right. Let me double check on that one then. I'll see if she's still on my roster. Electra. Okay, and you go by Electra. Of course, yeah, that's a cool name. Why wouldn't you go by anything else? Of course, yes. Abby. Okay. You go by Abby. Are you officially Abigail? No. You are officially Abby. Cool. Do you know that Abby is the name of a wife of a president as well as the mother of a president? You did not know that. Well, you're going to be learning about Abby. Anybody raise your hand if you can tell me. Who is the president or president, which of the two presidents that are related to Abby? I'm not going to give you the last name, not you, Abby, but a Abby, a very important Abby. I'll give you a clue. It's in the first row on the top there. This Abby was the wife of one president and mother to another. You know? It is Adams. What was you going to say? Abigail Adams was married to John Adams, and she was the mother of John Quincy Adams, number 6. Raise your hand if you can tell me the name of another woman who was a mother to a president and wife to another president. This one's a little easier. It's in the, if you need a clue, I'll give you the clue as to which row it's in. It's in the bottom row. Yeah? It is Bush, yes. Anybody know the name of the wife of George H.W. Bush, who is the mother of George W. Bush? Barbara. Yeah, Barbara. So Abby and Barbara have something in common. Wife and mother to presidents. Okay, very good. Nathaniel. Right here. You go by Nathaniel? Nathan, all right. N-A-T-H-A-N. Perfect. And, yeah, Olivia's brother. Yes, of course. And Tessa. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I got 4 so far at least that I'm counting here. Older sibs, yeah. Okay. There's one other of you. Did I not call? I called you? Yes. You are. You're Owen Custer. There we go. All right. I had you on my list, and I wasn't sure if you were at home or present. And now I have that answered. You're present. Okay. Very good. Okay. Good. I will be doing an official seating chart and so forth later on. If this works out pretty well for you, that's going to be fine. Yeah. And I think I'll leave the ones in the back open for the most part. There'll be a number of things that we'll need to do. Notes is going to be a big, big part of it. On a number of days, you're wondering, like, well, what am I going to do for, like, when I'm not here? How many of you guys had work to do in your classes yesterday? How many of you guys have got work to do between now and Tuesday in your classes? Yeah. Okay. I don't know that I'm going to have so much work for you to do between now and Tuesday. If I do, it will be posted on Google Classroom. Okay. But this first, we're going to be, I'm going to spend some time kind of giving you an opportunity to get to know me a little bit and kind of what's going on and so forth. One thing, know that we're going to be working real hard, but it's going to be a good year for us in this class, and you guys are going to learn a ton in here. Oh yeah. As far as the kinds of things you're going to be responsible for, maybe next time, probably, I'll assign you a textbook. It actually looks like this. And the textbook will only use several chapters from it this semester only. So that'll be some of the things you'll be doing at home, is reading some chapters and preparing for some reading quizzes in class. I'll give you more information on that as we come through. I'm used to having 90 minutes to do my thing and educate people, but I only got 45 minutes because of this hybrid schedule, right? So I'm going to be doing the most I can during the 45 minutes, and occasionally, like your homework, your other day, like tomorrow, will be going onto Google Classroom and clicking on the links to certain videos that add to and elaborate on what we're doing in here. It's interesting because when we went for the whole hybrid model, it works, I would argue, better maybe for some classes than others. Like classes that already have a lot of sort of homeworky types of things, like English, if you have a bunch of reading or writing, or math, those kinds of preparation. Traditionally in my class, we do a lot in class, so I don't need to give as much homework. But since I only see you half of that 90 minutes every 2 days, then we'll figure it out, okay? We'll figure that part out, all right? You guys are still kind of taking in because, I don't know, do you have any of the same teachers this year that you did before? Maybe if you had choir, I suppose, band. Yeah, the electives, that's about it, though. Otherwise, it's all new teachers. So you're trying to kind of get a sense of, like, you know, what's going on. And maybe some of your siblings will give you a little bit of an idea. And you're like, well, okay, sure. In fact, maybe if they did tell you stuff, they'll be able to tell you about some things about my background. Just know this. The books, when I assign you, they're going to be at home. All you'll need to do is bring in whatever you need to drink, whatever you need to eat, whatever device you're using to take really good, solid notes. And that's going to help you through as we go along, okay? All right, questions at this point? Okay, all right. And one thing, and it's not your fault, it's a me thing, but I'm telling you right now, I just like, I don't know, you ever know those people that are like, little things and sounds and things like bug them? And it's so annoying to you because it doesn't bug you, it bugs them, and they're like, I'm sorry, it bugs me. So like little noises and things, like I had one student one year, he would sit there and go, he would like have some little chain or whatever. I'm like, you're driving me nuts. Please don't do that. I'm like, so, I mean, but he also needed to do that. So I had to move over here. So if it's, you know, if you're moving things, that's fine, but if I can hear a bunch of things, it's like stupid. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So thank you for, yeah. So yeah, if you look over the handout that I gave you, this is kind of the overall syllabus. We'll talk about it now, and then you'll tuck it away and probably not pay that much attention to it. It's got the Google Classroom code on it now, so when you go home, make sure you get into my Google Classroom, okay? Because you're going to want to have access to that, especially those of you guys who were at home. But of course, you wouldn't know that unless you were already in the Google Classroom, which has got the link to the video that I am creating right now, which I will upload in the future when I get home today. The course is very interesting. First semester, second semester. First semester, we cover the time period 1450 to 1750 during the entire world, okay? Very, very important time period of history. One continent of all the continents starts to really rise up and become very powerful. Raise your hand if you can tell me which continent is going to be becoming very, yes? Europe. Yeah, that's right, yeah, Europe. So we spent a lot of time talking about what's going on in Europe, because by the time you get to 1750, Europe is like, I got this and I got that, and we're all like this, and we got the Industrial Revolution moving in, and yeah, they're a big deal, okay? So, and of course they have a lot of influence on our country. Our country, the Americas, the United States of America, is what we focus on predominantly in second semester. So we've got 3 units in second semester that hopefully we'll be able to get to all of those. And, oh, look, isn't that weird? Do you see the little, like, asterisk thing next to each of those 3 units for second semester? What does the asterisk thing mean? Yes? Are you taking IB history? You're in the 9th grade. What the heck are you talking about, an IB course? And yet, you will be doing 3 IB history units. You will be taking really good notes because there's something coming up. Likely, if you're here, for you in the 11th grade and 12th called IB history. I have great success with students on the IB history assessments. One of the reasons is because I start preparing them right from the get-go, 9th grade. And we actually do some IB history units. And those notes can be referred to by students when they're seniors to go back to prepare for the IB history exams. Because maybe there's a question on the United States Civil War that you want to write on that question for the IB history exam. And you're like, I remember I just went through my notes. So we're getting you ready. Hopefully 8th grade was a very good preparation for you. 9th grade will continue that into the 10th and 11th. I don't know, what comes after 12th grade? What? College? Yeah. How many of you guys hope that like this whole COVID thing is at least solved a little bit? Maybe by the time you go to college, you can actually have maybe a normal college experience. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because I'm like, I really feel for it because I've had so many students over the years that have gone on to college, and I'm thinking, oh, it's so nice. You get to be sort of independent. You get to socialize, and you don't have, you get like, and now you get some colleges that are opened up, and they're all freaking out because students are all gathering together and having social gatherings, and then the COVID goes up, and everyone's yelling at them because they're doing what people do. Yeah, I mean, so hopefully it'll all be good by that. I don't know what the situation's going to be like health-wise for you as you enter your college year. When are you guys going to graduate? 24? You guys are class of 24? But you come through North Star, you have an opportunity to be super, really prepared for college. How many of you guys have heard that from parents or somebody else? It's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. North Star has been for quite some time one of the best places to get really, really good preparation for what's next. Because when you go to college, do you want to have success, or do you want to take on massive student loans and be a failure? Because they don't give you your money back. All right? So this is an opportunity. It's nice to remember that, because if you know of some people who are maybe taking a lesser course load, say at another school or so forth, you might be jealous of them that they don't have as much work as you do. But if you see them again, first year of college, you might not be as much as jealous of them. They might be more jealous of you because you're prepared and you've got a bunch of credits going into college. Okay? So anyway, this is the course. It's a little bit more mature than maybe you guys have experienced in middle school, certainly elementary. We can handle that as we go through, and it's great preparation. Okay? How can I tell you it's great preparation? Because that's why I'm here. I'm here to prepare you for this year, and we'll see about next year, but I'm here to prepare you for this year. And where the heck did I come from? Do you want to know a little bit about me? How many guys think you know something about me already? I did. What happened there? Oh my gosh. I taught and then I left. This is true. You've got pieces. All right, so Mr. Hansen's story. He taught at North Star. He left. He came back. We'll fill those details in. Yes, what do you know? Did I leave to write a book? Did I leave to write a book? That sounds like the craziest thing ever. How many of you guys would like to write a book someday? You've got some idea around in your mind and so forth. I had an idea that was kicking for like 17 years. I got to write this book. And as a teacher, I never had time. Even this summer, way too short. Summers are short, although this summer was like 3 weeks longer, but that's cool. And I couldn't do it, and then